welcome back to Ethereal and Elusive. I am. I think that's gonna be my intro from now on. It's like, I am. I don't know, I just want this space to just be able to be and to breathe and to not have to label myself anything, to not have to put myself in any boxes. Not that I feel that my name is a box or that I don't like my name. I love my name and I'm not shy of it. You can find it on my Instagram and everywhere. I love what my name means, but I also like the feeling of being just a concept. So that's why I created this channel. I am just a concept. This is just an experiment called life, I guess. So I am once again on a solo picnic, and I am doing the brave thing of filming in public. I am in a very isolated part of the park. So I don't know if I'm being that courageous, but people can see me. They're just very far. So gratitude for courage, right? Anyways, yeah, it's been really hard for me. I have moved to different states multiple times throughout my life, and I'm finding that the older I get, the harder the transition kind of becomes for me. Because when you move to a totally new space, you have to create a totally new life. You become this totally new version of yourself that you have never met, that you have never been before. And I feel like, especially happening now that I'm in my 30s and I'm just leaving my Saturn return, and so much, it's eclipse season, so much happening in the stars that I don't know, because I'm not an astrologer. I'll never claim to be, although I do tarot readings. But yeah, so it's been really hard for me to reestablish community here for a number of reasons. And one of the reasons why it's been hard for me to not have community is because I am an extrovert, which it feels very odd for me to put that label on myself. Like I just said, I don't like labels, but if I had to identify more with extrovertness or introvertness, I would say I am an extrovert. I am only an introvert in spaces that I don't feel safe in. And there are a lot of ways in which in North Carolina I don't feel comfortable being the fullness of myself to really step into my introvert bag, and that is because we are in the Bible Belt South. And I'm sure I'll have another video in which I'll talk about like my spiritual beliefs. However, that's not this video, but just to say, like, obviously, if you know, I'm a sound healer, I'm a spiritual reader, and so even my spiritual beliefs and my faith are very ethereal and elusive. They're not elusive to me, which maybe I'll talk about that in a second as well, but they are elusive to the typical person who identified with one specific religion. And so it's really hard for me to really fully be myself or be comfortable in spaces in which there are conversations where I know I'm talking to someone who might be homophobic, or someone who thinks that, you know, spiritual practices are all witchcraft, or all witchcraft is demonic, or, you know, or even have a negative stereotype and disposition towards witchcraft. And it's like, so it's really hard for me to say when people are like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I have a spiritual practice and business. I'll be honest, truthfully, I don't always take the courageous route. I don't always like openly share that. I really don't know what to say, because especially if I know I'm talking to a super religious person, there is that fear of rejection. There's so many thoughts on my mind, so this is just gonna be a stream of consciousness video, but follow me. Indulge me. Ceremony by Briana Wiest. Ceremony is a collection for those on the cusp of becoming. It is a reminder that we are not meant to fit into this world perfectly, but to live in such a way that we might forge a path all our own. It is a reminder that we are one with each other and nature itself. It is a reminder that we hold within us the latent potential. It is a reminder that we hold within us the latent potential of every future possibility we can conceive of. It is a reminder that we often must release what is not ours in order to receive what is. That we are all born with a unique imprint to leave upon the world. And that self-love is not an infatuation, but a homecoming. Ceremony is a book written around the idea that the most unlikely moments are often the very ones offering us a chance to meet ourselves more deeply. It is a book for the ones who are ready to stop waiting and wondering and dive all the way into who they are meant to be. So on the topic of establishing new community here in North Carolina, yesterday me and my partner had a double date game night type of situation with his friends, which I am now getting to know, and I really like them. So anyways, I'm getting to know them, specifically the girlfriend. And I really like her. I have a great time with her. I have a great time with them. I'm very grateful that they welcome me into their space. And there was an opportunity. I was offered to eat an edible. This edible was in the form of a cake that one of their friends baked for them. And it's funny because it's like, with edibles, whenever like there's a baking situation, you usually like take a corner of something and then like kind of like divvy that up, because edibles can be strong, right? But she cut me a whole slice of the cake and gave it to me on a plate, and I'm like, I don't know, like usually with edibles you're supposed to only eat like a little corner piece, right? But she was like, no, it's fine. Like, that little slice isn't going to do too much. I was like, yes, it will. but I never stepped down from a challenge. So, of course, I ate 90% of the slice. I didn't eat like this. It was like a little chunk of corner left with the icing, it was just too much sweetness. But I ate 90% of it. And I knew also with edibles, it's a delayed effect, right? But with this edible, I started feeling it as I was eating it. And I was like, I'm about to be high as shit. Right? So then, inevitably, I got high as shit. In fact, this story happened last night, and I will say I am still pretty lifted, but I'm fine. I'm lucid enough to get to a park and record, which actually I'm a really good high person. I can pretty much still function and do what I need to do, but that's neither here nor there. One of the things that happened, and I look at, also side note, I look at weed as plant medicine. I look at these things as plant medicines. However, okay, this is a for real. I genuinely want to create a video about my thoughts on plant medicine and when is it medicine and when is it a drug, when is it medicine and when is it a vice, and how is it contributing to the spiritual psychosis that we have seen rising among the spiritual community, and we desperately need to address it, but everybody's ignoring the elephant in the room. That will be a video. Stay tuned. I want to be more intentional and thoughtful with that. So anyways, I say all that to say that when I experience certain things while high, I look at that as an opportunity to observe something in myself, to learn something, to expand and to grow in some sort of way. And so what I witnessed and observed in myself is, in this time when I was high as shit, I cannot emphasize, like on a scale from 1 to 10, I was probably a 30. But I was safe, so it was fine. My thoughts became extremely loud. And I was thinking, I was experiencing intrusive thoughts that were telling me that everybody in the room hated me, that no matter what I said, what I did, how I laughed, the volume of my voice, the way I presented myself, like my natural disposition probably offended them in some way, even though they're not outwardly saying it to me, and now they all hate me, and I kind of just want to go home. I know that sounds really teenagey, really high schooly, really young, but I'm not afraid to say like what rose to the surface for me, because it really is just about a growing and a learning experience for all of us. And I spent a lot of time doing inner child work, but these last few years of my life, probably ever since my Saturn return, I've been doing inner teenager work. And so yes, the things that affected me as a teenager are what's coming up for me, and the things that I'm returning to, which is why I'm returning back to my creativity. So it's been great. But those thoughts of like, am I saying the right thing? Basically the like performative nature, and it's like I have taken off the performance and the mask, especially when I'm high. I'm like, I really don't care about masking too much. I'm still very intentional with my words and the things that I say to people, and making sure that I'm being respectful, you know, and holding a certain safe space around me, because that's just my integrity kicking in as a person, as a facilitator, that I'm gonna do that regardless. But dropping the mask in terms of like maybe laughing louder, or like really allowing my inner Atlanta girl, Florida girl to come out. And so I don't know, there was something said, it was nothing specifically said. It was just those little moments where you're like, oh, did they think that this joke that I made was funny? Or did they get silent because I offended them? Are they thinking that this is just like a wild Florida girl that they want nothing to do with and they'll never invite to their house again? And it was just crazy, but it's like, this is all coming up for me for a reason. Let me look at this. And I think that the first few pages of this book kind of speak to that, of like, wow, like imposter syndrome is definitely still within me, and my preconceived notions of the South and the Bible Belt and North Carolina are presenting blockages, even though they're valid. These are very real things that happen here. I'm not making it up, but at the same time, they're presenting mental blockages for me to be able to really be my full extroverted self, to be the fullness of who I am, and to attract the people that I need to attract in my life. And that really is the core of the problem when it comes to community building, is the reason why I have had these experiences of having to shed friends over and over again, is because of my struggle to completely unmask. I am neurodivergent. I am diagnosed bipolar type 2. I am a Libra, which means I'm always going to see both sides in a situation. Like, I am the epitome of duality, and I own that in my human experience. And I'm also a very free thinker. I'm also a very free person. I'm also someone who cares about I am a stereotypical creative, artsy hippie, and that is not accepted or celebrated in mainstream culture. And I have had people very close to me make jokes about certain things, and I'm like, you don't even, because I am masking so well, you don't even realize that I am a part of the demographic that you just made fun of. And that joke was offensive to me, but I can tell that it's normal for you, and I don't know how to approach the situation because I really like you as a person, but I don't like that inside of you, that piece that is inside of you. Especially when it comes to like homophobia. Like, I am bisexual even though I am in a straight presenting relationship, and so when people make certain comments, I'm like, that really disgusts me. And it's like, that is the reason why like suicide and depression is so high amongst the LGBTQ plus community, is because you're making these comments. If the whole purpose of correcting a person is so that they can truly get educated and learn and expand and walk a better path, then you have to do it in a way that they'll be receptible. Yeah, they'll be receptible. I don't feel like I'm saying that word right, but I am still high. It just don't sound right. They'll be receptacle? No, that's a thing. Receptive. We gonna choose that. They'll be receptive to what you're saying. I feel like I'm just like talking at this point, but this is a stream of consciousness, so it's all good. I say all that to say, like, that's something that I recognize. I don't have any conclusions, like I said, that happened yesterday, but that's something that I recognize that I am needing to process, is the fact that I have this underlying fear that everyone hates me, and it's not true. And I even did like a temperature check with the girl, and I texted her and I was like, hey, had a really good time, like, and I genuinely meant what I said in the text message, but I will be transparent. It was definitely a temperature check to see like how she responds. Like, okay, if I really offended her, if she really hates me, she'll say something in this response. And no, she didn't. It was fine. Everything was fine. It was just all in my head, and I recognized it was like, and then I kept questioning myself, like, am I saying these things out loud? Like, am I saying, like, do they hate me out loud? And it's like, no, I wasn't. It's just that my thoughts have become louder than the reality of the situation. And how often does that happen as well? It's like, hey, like, this is a projected fear. This is a projected experience. This is not the reality of the situation. And, you know, I've seen that play out in friendships before, where people did that to me, where I'm like, hey, this is not what happened. This is something that you're projecting onto the situation. I couldn't get them to see that. And then now I was in a situation where I was projecting on a situation my own fears. And so it really is just a human experience. It's something that I need to move through, and that I'm sitting with, and I'm showing grace to myself and love to my inner teenager of like, hey, the world does not hate you. Now, it is true, it is valid, it is factual that everybody's not going to like you, but I can also guarantee you that everybody is not going to hate you. And while yes, I am in the Bible Belt South, I am really grateful to be here in 2024, for one. So, like, you know, it's more open-minded. Like, I went into Barnes and Nobles the other day, and they had the most extensive tarot oracle deck section I have ever seen. And I don't know if this has always been a thing in Barnes and Nobles, but I personally have never seen them sell tarot decks. So seeing that and seeing that here was just very encouraging. Although I was the only person in that section looking at it, it's just like, okay, this is here and this is a business. So that means that they have a big enough demographic here to buy these things. So the community is here. it's here, and it might take longer to tap into than it would be to, I don't want to call out any specific religion. I don't, because I don't like religion bashing either. But it might be easier to like go to any church on the corner because those are in more abundance, but that doesn't mean that my spiritual people aren't here as well. And one thing I will say is that I really admire the fact that people stand 10 toes down on what they believe here, whether it be religious, whether it be spiritual, whether it be hoodoo, whether it be root work, whether it be like Santeria, like whatever it is, whatever they practice it. And I have lived in areas that I won't name that there was a lot of like surface level spirituality and faith building, or like I'm just here because culturally speaking this is what my people do. No, people here is like, no, this is in my blood, this is in me, and this is what I practice, period. And we're gonna do it from a really good sacred space. And so I really admire that. In that part, I am excited about tapping into these people. I really feel like another thing I really feel like is my teacher is here. Another reason why I feel like I was called to North Carolina was to meet my teacher. I don't know I don't know the details of them, but I'll just leave it at that. I feel like it's best to not fill in any blanks and create any unmeetable expectations. But my teacher is here, and I know that I've been calling in a teacher that really stand 10 toes down in what they believe, and that's in alignment with ooh, the last of the instant got to me. But I know I'm calling in a teacher that stands 10 toes down in what they believe. And that's the environment here. So I am excited about that. I am really excited about that. And this is not what I thought that this video was going to be about. But I am really grateful to myself for having the courage to come out here and to film in the public, in a space that, in Mother Nature, I'm grateful for Mama Earth for holding space for me, and I'm grateful for God, Yahweh, for creating a boundary so that I can do it in privacy. Even oh my gosh, I can't even turn the camera around because I know if I try it's gonna go away. But I believe in synchronicities, and a dragonfly literally just landed on my jacket over here as I'm talking about Yahweh, as I'm talking about Source. Thank you for creating a bubble of protection so I can be in privacy even though I'm in public, and a butterfly just landed over there. Thank you for all of the local spirits for welcoming me and keeping me safe and allowing me to exist in this space. I acknowledge you and I show gratitude for your presence here. Thank you to my ancestors that are aligned with my purpose and my highest self for being with me and for guiding me. And thank you for my teacher who is clearly calling out to me and searching for me. I pray that our paths align in divine timing. But I do pray that that timing is soon. And I pray for aligned community to surround me, to support me. I pray for a friendship in which we are equally yoked in alignment, where we can celebrate each other's differences and be curious and learn from each other's differences, while also teaching each other and having a lot in common as well. Someone that maybe I can practice with and we can grow and have rituals together and go on retreats together. Someone who I can talk to and confide in. I am calling that specific friend in, along with other aligned friendship and community and sisterhood, perhaps a coven. All of these things I pray from a posture of gratitude and a receptive heart space. Amen. as the sun comes out. Wow. God is here. God is here. It is 1:11 as I'm wrapping up. So many synchronicities. It is a positive sign from the universe when the Jupiter card shows up in a reading. Jupiter is the 5th planet from the sun and the largest in the solar system. Just like its physical size, it manifests growth and expansion as it moves and speaks with the planets in your chart. Jupiter is here to light your way towards progress. You also can feel the urge to delve into your spiritual and shadow work practice or have the opportunity to teach others. Jupiter represents knowledge and the higher perspective you gain from the spiritual ascension. When this card appears, expect new people, places, and experiences to come in your life and elevate your consciousness. Travel can be incredibly healing for you at this time. In ancient Roman mythology, Jupiter was the king of the gods, known as Zeus in Greece. I really am trying to wrap up because the spiders are telling me it's time to go home. Hold on. Literally, the spiders are telling me it's time to go home. But when I pulled a card for myself, at the bottom of the deck, which I had not looked at before, where I'm cleaning up, the bottom of the deck is Lilith herself. And the topic that I was talking about, and now look what the description is for Lilith. When Lilith shows up in a reading, it's time to unleash who you truly are. This is exactly what the book says, which exactly came up to the surface, like unmasking and all of that, right? Where have you allowed others to demonize, suppress, and control you? Stand in your power, like the Dark Mother of creation once did. Lilith was rebellious and untamed like a wild tree. In ancient occult symbology, the tree is tied to goddesses, fertility, and the divine feminine. Unfortunately, her roots were uprooted and she was ousted from paradise. This oracle card invokes her wild and rebellious nature. She, like other empowered women in biblical texts, was painted as a vengeance-seeking demon to instill fear and submission in women. In her story in the Talmud, I don't know how to pronounce that, Lilith was the first woman before Eve. God created Adam and Lilith from the dust, as opposed to Eve, who came from Adam's rib. She was painted as a scorned woman who disobeyed her husband when he demanded that she submit and lie beneath him during sex. She refused, defied God and Adam, and left the Garden of Eden to never return. For this act, she was turned into a demon and cursed for eternity. Lilith's biblical story shows the importance of harmonizing and integrating the dark divine masculine and feminine shadows in this world. Neither one is better than the other. Both are needed and valid. Her archetype and plight are a vessel for collective healing. When we resolve this ancient wound within ourselves individually, we are shifting humanity. After careful study and research, I have coined the term Black Moon Lilith Rising to describe people who have Black Moon Lilith conjunct their ascendant or in their first house of self. If this is in your birth chart, you are indeed a walking Lilith archetype and a Black Moon Lilith rising. Step into your sovereignty, show your untamed and wild nature. I can't make this stuff up.